The Harris campaign is focused on flipping North Carolina this November. We talked about it a little bit earlier. The vice president will be in Raleigh with her soon-to-be-announced running mate this week. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper removed his name from consideration, telling Politico he made the decision in part because, quote, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, the GOP gubernatorial nominee, could try to seize power temporarily whenever Cooper was out of the state campaigning with Harris. Here's why Robinson taking power would be so problematic.
There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth.
Abortion in this country is not about protecting the lives of mothers. It's about killing a child because you aren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down.
I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote.
If I had all the power right now, let's say I was the governor, I had a willing legislature, we could pass a bill say you can't have an abortion in North Carolina for any reason.
Okay, joining us now is North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Governor, welcome. Good to see you, sir.
Well, Governor Cooper, I think after seeing these clips, people will understand your decision. I mean, we read through the political conversation that you had, but I'm wondering if you could just expand upon this even more. So it is, in fact, true that you proactively told the Harris team that you did not want to be vetted for the reasons of the clips we just saw.
That certainly was part of the reason, Simone and Michael, and I'm sorry I can't be with you there in person. It was great being around your table and would love to do that again sometime soon, but this is the next best way. Look, it's important for me to note, I am 100% behind Kamala Harris. I have known her since we were attorneys general. She put violent criminals behind bars. She stood up to the big banks and to big pharma. I worked with her when she was in the United States Senate. We would often talk about judges from North Carolina. And she's been to North Carolina 15 times as vice president. She has to win, and we're going to do everything we can to win North Carolina. Yes, I did let the Harris campaign know early in the process that this was just not the right time for me or my state. We have one of these archaic constitutional provisions, I call them wagon wheel provisions, where when the governor leaves the state, the Constitution says the lieutenant governor becomes the governor. Now, there have been a number of court cases across the country in states that have had similar provisions. You would know why you would need it 150 years ago. But those courts have ruled that, no, with modern technology, with the governor being able to stay in touch, then that is not what it means. And when you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. If I'm testifying in front of Congress in Washington, or I'm recruiting a business in another state or another country, or I'm at an in-law's funeral out of state, it doesn't make any sense that the lieutenant governor would take over. But when I was in Japan on a trip, the lieutenant governor held a press conference, signed a proclamation honoring the state of Israel, I guess to make up for his anti-Semitic comments and for denying the Holocaust. But we believed that it was quite possible that if I were on the ticket as vice president, he could be doing something every week. And he may or may not be successful in doing it, but he would certainly cause a distraction that would be magnified times 10 because of what's happening at the presidential level. So that was certainly part of the reason why I did that. Another reason is that she has a wealth of candidates from which to choose. I know the 4 governors now that are under consideration. Each one of them bring amazing strengths and would be extraordinary serving as a vice president to her. I know she's going to be choosing in a couple of days. We're going to welcome them to Raleigh, or it may be Chapel Hill, but welcome them to North Carolina on Thursday of next week with a big rally, kickoff, winning North Carolina. I got that 2008 feel. We won North Carolina for Barack Obama. I have that same feeling now. We're going to really, really get to work here.
Governor, I appreciate your first point about being out of the country or out of the state and what that means. We have a similar provision in Maryland. When I was a lieutenant governor, I was always inviting the governor to take a trip so he could, he could go anywhere he wanted to. Now's the time to explore America and the world. I got you back here at home. You're good. No,
I was going to ask you about that, Michael. I was, and I just decided I would not because I wasn't going to put you on the spot. But now that you brought it up, well,
I mean, but how unusual. I mean, I think it's an important point, though, Governor, because, Michael, were you holding press conferences trying to sign proclamations? No, I was not holding press conferences.
I was doing the work that the governor allowed me to do. Because in Maryland, as is probably in other states, in North Carolina, he's elected separately, but we serve at the pleasure of the governor, very much like the vice president serves at the pleasure of the president. So you have your assignments, you have the things you're responsible for. You don't go rogue on the leadership. But because you have the situation in your state, like in Virginia, for example, where the lieutenant governor runs separately, not as a ticket, from the governor, you can have these sort of mixed tickets where you have a Republican or a Democratic governor and the opposite for lieutenant governor. I do want to make a quick point because I do want to move off of the lieutenant governor for a second, because I think what's happening in North Carolina, which you just raised, is important. But I do think it's important to your concern that you have someone who has said as part of a Sunday sermon in a church that some folks need killing in violation in church, and all these Christians applauding him. Right? Y'all remember this little thing called the Sixth Commandment, right? Mr. Robinson, you know what that is, don't you? So let's understand why the governor has the kind of concern he has here. So setting that aside for a moment, Governor, North Carolina, I think, is a state that is in play, and it has been in play for a while, not just in the 2008 cycle, but there's a trend line that starts in Virginia, comes down into North Carolina, South Carolina. Now we see it playing out in Georgia and elsewhere in the South. The Democrats have made some important strides with governors and lieutenant governors and state reps like yourself, who understand exactly what governing principles mean. You're a popular governor. We see in Georgia, the Republican governor there is supported by Democrats because in some instances he's been good for some of the issues that they think are important. How does that...
I'm going to hold my tongue because Governor Cooper is sitting here.
I know you are, but I'm just saying, I know that's not true across the board. But what I'm saying is there are governors in states where they're serving can make a big difference. In North Carolina, the Democrats have made a big difference in a once violently red-blue state.
Yeah, we can. We're very close to the people. We have to get things done. We're responsible for making things happening, unlike a legislature, unlike Congress, where they just yell back and forth and things rarely get done. Governors have to do that. And here in North Carolina, we've been able to leverage a lot working with the Biden-Harris administration. We've been able to expand Medicaid. We've got about 513,000 more people who now have health insurance for the first time. And the Biden-Harris administration gave us a bonus for doing that. We were finally able to assemble coalitions across the state with Republicans and Democrats, tough on crime sheriffs, Republican county commissioners, chambers of commerce, all knew that working people needed health insurance. So we were able to get that done. We're now working on getting rid of medical debt. The vice president and I are working on leveraging Medicaid funds with hospitals to erase medical debt. We have about 2 million people in North Carolina owing about $4 billion in medical debt. So things are getting done. And I think that with this race this November, that we can leverage a lot of that in the third fastest growing state in the country, in a state which was Donald Trump's closest win. He only won by 1.3%. We have people moving into North Carolina from the technology sector, from the life sciences sector, from the aerospace sector. The data shows that we can flip North Carolina for the Democrats. And we're really excited about that opportunity. And it's pretty clear that the Harris campaign believes that too. Because of all of the swing states where she's going next week, this is the one state that Biden-Harris lost. It was their closest loss. The rest of the states are one in which they won. This is the one offensive state. And we are ready to engage. Our young people are excited for this. We just got to keep the fever pitch and continue to run through the tape here. I said this on Politico. You probably heard it, but I'm a sports guy, and it's like we were 12 points down. We made a big run. We've caught up. We've tied the score. Now we've got to take it over the finish line, because sometimes people celebrate too early, and people are really happy about Kamala Harris as our candidate, but we cannot get overconfident, because this race can go either way. It's a 50-50 race. It's a turnout race. We got to get our people excited. We got to get our people to the polls. Kamala Harris is getting people excited. We just got to execute now.
People should know that Governor Cooper has been an elected official since about 1986, and he hasn't lost a race since he has been on the ballot. So he knows a little bit something about turning out folks in North Carolina. Governor, we appreciate your time. There's a governor's race in North Carolina. It is on the ballot, and the presidential race. So important, and we hope to have you back at the table very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great Sunday.
Good to see you.
Take care, Governor.